Now, let's see what it has. So under it's talking about the NI. So if we start with X limited, we know that value of X limited is the value of equity of X ambayo ni ngapi? Ni 100 million. Kama tuanze X. You already have the values here. Then of course, WSC of X equals what? The cost of equity of X, which equals to EBIT divided by what? The value of equity, right? Our EBIT is how much? And our value is how much? 100 million. So what is the cost of equity? WSC? 12%. That is our X. Then Y limited. Y limited, the value of Y equals to value of equity plus value of equity plus value of debt, right? We have the value of equity of how much? 100 million. We have the value of debt of how much? 40 divided by what? Divided by 50 times. What is the market price? Is it 90% of 50? In a sell at a discount. So if we give it a discount of 10%, meaning it was on a 90%. Still, ingekuwa 10% premium, ingeuzwa na 110%. Premium increases the price, discount reduces the price, right? That gives us a value of how much? $36. $36, right? So therefore, we have the total value of 136 million. That is the value of Y. What of the WSC of Y? WK plus what? WDKD. We have weights to another. Weight of equity 100 over 136. And the weight of debt is 36 over 136. We have the KE. KE equals to the 12%. 12% near X. But I know I can do EBIT. I subtract interest. And I divide by what? The value of equity of Y. Right? Because how to ambia KE above companies 12%. At 12% they calculate. Now you require X. So to calculate here Y. Why will they be different? Because Y has interest. X has no interest. To KE. Ilikuwa debit because there is no debt. Haikuwa interest. Taxes do not exist. NI still. So therefore, kwingine, our EBIT is how much? The 12 million. Interest yangapi? 10% of how much? Of 40 million. Divided by the value of equity ambayo ni 100 million. What is the KE? How much? 8%. 8%. Aha. KD nayo? Haya, sawa, niache uchokozi. Na najua chenye mnafanya. So KD equals to Aha. Na tuongee na mimi ndio tuandike. Equals to we do 10%. 10% of. But then you get 10% na nyorosho. Because the debt is not selling at par. 10% of we are just borrowing from the formula of KD, interest over the market value. So our interest is 10% of how much? Of 40 million. And what is the market value? Because we have power value. 90% of 50. So this 45. 45. Somebody else can say 10% of 50 divided by 45. They'll give you the same thing. So that's what we're going to the power value. 10% of 50 divided by the market value of 45. You get the KD of ngapi? %11. So therefore, the work becomes the weight of equity, is it 100 over 136 times KD of 8 plus weight of debt 36 over 136 times the KD ngapi? KD 11. Iko very sure ni time ulikosa. Kama ungepata time ungepata ngapi? Ungepata yote. Very nice. Now let's go to Modigliani and Miller proposition. So MM propositions. And we can just start with number A, MM1 without taxes. MM1 without taxes. So you can say this. And this theory is similar. This theory is similar to N or I. This theory is similar to N or I. Since MM argued that, so Modigliani and Miller argued that in absence of taxes, that will not affect the value or WSCC of a farm. In absence of taxes, that will not affect the value or WSCC of the farm. Partly because there will be no interest tax savings. There will be no interest tax savings. So ile mambo tulifanya kwa NOI, In the same story tunafanya kwa MM1. So just for the sake of our easier remembrance, I'm recalling it easily. You can just appreciate what MM1 is equals to NOI. MM1 is equals to NOI. That is, value of the levered farm is equals to value of unlevered farm, which equals to EBIT divided by what? Remember the formula? The value of the levered farm is equals to value of unlevered farm, which equals to EBIT divided by the WSCC. Then, of course, the WSCC of the levered farm should also be equals to the WSCC of unlevered farm. Then you can make a conclusion. According to MM1, capital structure financing decisions are irrelevant. According to MM1, capital structure financing decisions are irrelevant. Since use of debt finance does not affect the value or WSCC of the farm. Use of debt finance does not affect the value or WSCC of the farm. So illustrations are NOI just to represent MM1. But I think there's a question in the first paper when you additional MM2. So let's talk about MM2 first of all. We can go to the first paper. The number being MM2. MM2 with corporation taxes, right? MM2 with corporation taxes. So we say this. MM argued that where tax exists, capital structure financing theories would be relevant. Where tax exists, capital structure financing decisions will be relevant. Because of the interest tax shield. Because of the interest tax shield. So let's start with the unlevered farm. So we start with the tax on interest. The tax saving for interest. Nilisema hii shield, si ndio? Ama ndio lugha ya nyumbani. Kalia kale pameandika shield. Wacha ni explain your place. Then explain your place. What is this interest tax shield? Tumetaja sana by the way. Now, I want us to look at company A and company B. And we just start from EBIT. Assuming both companies have EBIT of 1,000. Assuming both companies have EBIT of 1,000. You're supposed to less what? You're supposed to less interest. So let's assume company A equal to debt. Company A equal to debt. Maybe equal to 10% debt. Now equal to 10% preference shares. Value yao yote maybe ni 1,000. 1,000. Ipia value yake ni 1,000. What does that mean? Company A will be paying interest, company B will be paying preference dividend. Although the capital structure to some preference shares do not exist. But I'm bringing them in so that you understand that concept of the tax shield. Now, we shall less the interest, 10% of 1,000 is 100. And this one will not pay any interest. Right? We shall have our earnings before tax. We are at 900, we are at back in 1,000. We less what? We less tax. Tax rate, let's assume 30%. 30% of 9 is it 270? 270, 300. So we have our profit after tax. We are back in 630. Only 700 still. At that point, we less what? The preference dividends. Our preference dividends in so. So we have our profit after tax and preference dividends. We are on a 630. Now we are on a 600. Between the company that had debt and the other company that had preference shares, which one is happy? The one that had debt is happy, even though the expenses in terms of the finance cost ilikuwa the same. 100 and 100 for preference dividends and for the interest. So why is this company happy? It is happy because there is some tax savings that are coming in because of interest on debt. And that tax savings that are coming in is basically our interest is 100. 10% of 100 is 30. Sorry, 30% the tax rate. 30% of 100 is 30 shillings. So why are we saving? Because the interest that we pay interest before taxation. So ile tax tunalipa inakuwa kidogo compared na ile kampuni yenye haina debt. So courtesy of having debt in the capital structure, and that's why God nasema debt is cheaper than equity. Debt is good. That's one of the reasons why debt is good for a company, because inafanya ilipe taxes kidogo. Sasa hii kampuni kilipa taxes za 270, assuming ni 270 million. Na ingine imelipa 300 million. 670 and 30 million. 30 million can do something good for a company, right? So that is an aspect of the interest tax shield, the tax savings on interest. Great. So can we start with unlevered farm? So unlevered farm. Our rule does not change. The value and the WSC. So we start with the value of unlevered farm. Value of unlevered farm equals to, can we say equals to value of equity? Sheria haibadiliki, ndio. Which equals to, our target is to get profit after tax divided by what? The cost of equity. Now this time round we're gonna taxes. How do we reach the VAT? Hata tunaweza tumia illustration tumemake hapa. Unlevered farm has no debt. Sindio? And remember, preference shares do not exist. So we're not looking at these things here. We are looking at how do we arrive at 700. Tukianzia kwa EBIT, interest does not exist. So I simply do my EBIT, then I adjust for tax. 1 minus 0.3 is the 70% of 1,000, which is 700. So therefore, to get the VAT, I'll take the EBIT. I adjust for tax, then I divide by what? The cost of equity of unlevered. That's okay. And I know, as much as you know, that I can also get the value of unlevered farm, which is the value of equity, by taking the number of ordinary shares and multiplying by what? The market price per share. So I'll use any of the two options depending on information available. Then can we have the WSCC of unlevered farm? Equals to? Can we say equals to cost of equity of unlevered farms here, whose formula is PAT divided by, shine where you can, PAT divided by kama ni ukweli on the answer divided by meo. Sini kucheza tunaweka kakitu. Ndio. Na kama tujapewa part tumepewa EBIT. Itakuwa EBIT. Not just for tax. Because unlevered, debt does not exist. Still. But we have enough stories that less interest. We divide by what? The value of input of the unlevered farm. That is for the unlevered farm. Then we look at the levered. We look at the levered farm. So hapa mambo ni tofauti kidogo. Kila theory na approach yake. Now, to get the value of the levered farm, walisema kuwa the introduction of debt will be an ingredient, will be an additional value to a company that does not have debt. So shall start from the company, the value of the company that has no debt, then we add the tax shield on total debts. So value of the levered farm equals to value of unlevered plus the tax shield on total debt. Now usiogope kizungu. A tax shield on total debt is simply you take the value of debt, you multiply by the tax rate. Mambo ni tofauti. Kila theory na approach yake. Kila theory na approach yake. Tax shield labor. Tax shield. Tax shield on total debt. And how do we get the tax shield on total debt? Simply the value of debt multiplied by what? By the tax rate. So that is the value of the levered farm. Everything originates from the unlevered. After getting the unlevered farm, now you can get the value of the levered farm. So that after everything is done, after you've gotten the value of the levered farm, again, don't forget that that levered farm has the component of debt and equity. So now the plus balance kwa maswali sasa. So you're only left with one thing. How do you get the worker car of the levered farm? Equals to weke plus WD. KD na KD lazima tu adjust for it because now taxes exist. So weight of equity, cost of equity, weight of debt, cost of debt, adjusted for tax. Now, kazi hapa ni moja tu. Na hapa ndo penye inafanyanga MM2 examiner aipende. Although letter amekawia kila kuileta, the only work that we have is to know how to calculate this KE. Because its formula is different from others. So the formula of calculating KE ambayo utaiweka hapo. So let's just put that one down here ya mwisho. Cost of equity of the levered. Now this one. The cost of equity of the levered farm. It also originates from the unlevered farm plus risk premium. Cost of equity of unlevered farm plus risk premium. Do you remember the formula of risk premium? Risk premium equals to RF zote zinaanzanga na R. R what? Magane bacha kufanya huruma. RF plus RM minus RM. Still, you need risk premium, I agree. But say you need risk premium your portfolio. Say risk premium ya hapa. Pia nilikuwa tunafanya advanced level. Tunafanya premium baby class. Unajua kuna vitu zingine acha tuambiane ukweli. Wanaletanga place yenye unajua uko very strong for it and you can withstand some shock. Na vitu zingine wakileta baby class utaachia hapo CPA. Lakini size wakileta hapa unaweza acha CPA size. Wezi acha utakuwa tuna postpone. At this point when you decide to pay then you can do it for fun. Wanajua ni kwa nini wanaleta hapa. So this thing you are strong enough for them. Anyway, I'm glad. This premium ya portfolio ni RF minus RF. So how you give it by the way. So how you lakini hiyo ni ya portfolio. Ya hapa sasa the cost of equity of unlevered minus cost of debt times debt over equity adjusted for tax. Right? Debt over equity. Debt over equity adjusted for tax. Wale wanapenda kusumbua vitu wanasema debt to equity ratio. Wamesahau tukisikia ratios tunashtuka. Now, because you are confident enough, can you put down the formula of care? Cheki na ibana shangani nini wakula anasema tena. getting our KL, we just do this here. KO plus what? Our risk premium. November 2016, question 3. Let's start with that one. Page 79, November 2016, question 3. Page 79. So, but here we are being asked to explain 3 assumptions of the traditional theories of capital structure. Whether they're asking about assumptions of traditional theory, assumptions of net income, assumptions of NOI, or assumptions of Modigliani and Miller. Tulizi summarize. Moja ilikuwa gani? That preference shares do not exist. Any other? The dividends? The dividend growth rate is 0. Any other? They wanted how many? 3. Tushapata max in the max million. Payout ratio is what? It's 100%. The firm is always profitable and pays dividends annually. It is. Repart the notes. I repart the notes. Part B. Part B. Major Limited. Major Limited is just about to commence operation as an international trading company. The firm will have a book value of assets of 320 million, and it expects to earn 16% return on these assets before interest and tax. Can we say that is EBIT? Return on these assets before interest and tax. Does that English lead us to EBIT? The return before interest and tax. Returns in kind profit ni earnings. So therefore, EBIT ni ngapi? 16% of how much? 16% of 320 million. How much is our EBIT? How much? 51.2. So 51.2 million. However, because of certain tax arrangements with foreign governments, the company will not pay any taxes. So if the company will not pay any taxes, we start thinking about NI or NOI. NOI is the same as MM1. Is that one we agree? So ni mbili tunafikiria NOI stroke MM1 and NI. NI, capital structure theories are relevant. NOI, capital structure theories are not relevant. It is known that the capitalization rate for an all-equity firm in this business is 12%. Capitalization rate is also another name for what? It's the cost of capital. Cost of capital for an all-equity firm. Can we say that that is the cost of capital, cost of equity? WSEC of unlevered firms here. So the capitalization rate, that is the cost of capital of unlevered firm. Wamesema ni ngapi? The 12%. 12%. The company can borrow debt finance at the rate of 7% per annum. So debt is available at the rate of 7%. The management is in the process of deciding how to raise the required 10 million debt finance. So it needs to raise 10 million debt finance at 7%. Assume that assumptions apply. Assumptions apply. Using model without taxes, determine the current value of the unlevered power. So under MM1, so MM1, how do you get the value of unlevered power? Equals to equals in the time of shine class. Unajibu mpaka ni bara kuangalia na chambeni ambao umeshika haraka. Equals EBIT divided by cost of equity. Tuko kwa MM1 divided by hapa kuna tunataka kuguess ni kweli. Divided by what? I know it is the same as cost of equity, lakini formula lazima iko. Because I know unlevered firm works in KE. But under MM1 or N or I, the value of the firm is not EBIT over KE. The value of the firm is EBIT over work. N or I, MM1. Clear. So do we have the EBIT? 51 points. And the work is nothing. So 0.1. What is the value of the unlevered firm? How much? 426. 426. But we're gonna 6 more. 0.667. So 426.667 and we get our 2 months. Alafu anatupia marks zingine mbili, wanataka to calculate the current value of a levered firm if it uses 10 million or 7% debt. We are still in MM1. So how do we get value of the levered firm? Equals to shine where you can. Equals to. Whether it's very true. What the examiner wants you to do, hata ya ina calculation. Nataka tu mwambie, the value of the levered firm will be the same as value of unlevered, which is 426 points. Telling the examiner when the examiner makes it easier for you, you start overthinking. Then the last 3 marks, the weighted average cost of capital of a levered firm at a debt level of 7% shillings 10 million. So in a way, the examiner is simply telling us, confirm that the WSFA will still remain 12% even if you bring in debt. Because tulisema kuwa the WSC of the levered firm should be the same as the WSC of unlevered firm. So examiner anataka to confirm. So as you are answering that question, the expected solution already uko nayo. Ni kama una want backward. Your WSC should be the same as what? 12%. Now, let's see. Out of the value of the levered farm of 426, the value of the levered farm has a component of equity and debt. Right? So out of 426.667, debt ni ngapi? Debt ni 10 million. Kwa hivyo equity itakuwa ya ngapi? How much? 416 points. So equity will be 416.667. So from that, I can get the weight of equity, I can get the weight of debt. Right? Can I have the cost of equity? EBIT minus, we subtract the interest, then I divide by what? The value of equity. There. Look on our EBIT. 51.2. Interest rate yetu ni ngapi? 7%. How much is our debt? 10 million. Divide by the value of equity, ambayo ni 400 and what is the cost of equity? How much? 12.12. 12.12%. Hi. Do you have the cost of debt? Unless otherwise stated, debt is selling at par. Your KD itakuwa ngapi? 7%. So can I have my worker? The weight of equity 416.667 divided by what is the total value of the farm? 426.67. What is the KE? 12.12. Plus, what is the weight of debt? 10 divided by 426.667 times KD ambayo ni ngapi? 7. Can you confirm your work? How to get 12%? That is the NOI or MM1. Usisahau tu kuwa wakati tunafanya swali ya MM1 ni sawa na NOI. So next time when tunafanya swali ya NOI, don't start saying that kuna kumbuka MM1. MM1 is the same as NOI. Can you go to part C? Kwenye kuna swali unauliza. Hebu postpone hizi maswali, atocha tutajisomea polepole. Ndio polepole ifikaje. But if not understood, you just ask. We are here to help. God brought all these heads together so that we can argue together and agree on final answer. Great. Can we go to the next one? Now the next one, assuming that the company in B above now pays taxes at the rate of 30%. When it pays taxes at the rate of 30%, now it comes what? MM2. It becomes now MM2. MM2 kwa yake si iko hapa yote. Approach very different from MM1. MM1, the value of the levered and the value of unlevered was the same. MM2, unaanza na kutafuta the unlevered. Then for the levered farm, you build it from the unlevered. Kama ni value, unaongeza the tax sheet for total debts. One step at a time, wacha tuone. So assuming that the company in B above now pays taxes at the rate of 30%, compute the following in MM world. The current value of the farm if it uses no debt. So if it uses no debt, what will be the value of the unlevered farm? So if it uses no debt, value of unlevered farm equals to basi hata ukwetu mjanja useme value of equity. Alafu unanyamaza sasa. So that you're also part of the answer. Unlevered farm has no debt, right? So shika tu hiyo kwanza. Sawa. Shika tu hiyo kwanza. The unlevered farm has no debt. So anytime wafuna notice the value of the unlevered farm, whereas na kujibu equals the value of equity alafu na tax. Wengine walete zingine. Na wafuna kuja kauliza what is the WS of unlevered farm, mwambie equals to cost of equity of unlevered farm. Alafu relax. Wengine watafanya ingine. Sisi tunasaidiana. Tunasaidiana. Anyway, sasa mimi nishajibu. Sasa wengine walete zingine which equals to, alafu ambia neighbor sijafuta ubao. And by the way, wacha niwaambie siri moja. There is power in talking. There is power in talking. So ukisikia neighbor anang'ang'ana ananiongelesha, sidhani ni bure. There is power in speech. So ongea. That's how we understand these things. That's why Wakula is able to stand in front of you because he has talked too much. Kwa sababu naisema na confidence. Sababu mimi nimeongea sana by the way. Na vile unaongea sana una cram. So mimi nisha cram. Which equals to EBIT B minus interest really. Unlevered has no debt. But don't worry, don't be afraid of making mistakes. In the attempt to avoid mistakes, but let's make this mistake in class. So that in the exam room we don't make the same mistake. Fanya hata mistake kucheke ni sawa. Tutakucheka by the way kufanya makosa ukacheka. Kwa unasahau. You need to win sahau. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. We learn from mistakes. So we divide by the cost of equity of the unlevered farm. We have everything. Can we appreciate that the WACC of unlevered farm is the same as the cost of equity? So we have everything. Our EBIT is how much? 51.2. Tax wametuambia ni ngapi? 30%. Keu ni ngapi? 12%. What is the value of the unlevered farm? How much? 298. 298.67. So 298.67 million. Then for another 2 marks, the current value of the farm, if it uses the debt level of 7% shilling 10 million. Remember to copper MM what? MM2. So how do we get the value of a levered farm? Equals to value of unlevered plus. Hata usishughulike na hizo maenglish mingi kwa sababu hata hizo kupronounce ni balaa. Una pia na formula hiyo tax shield. PD times what? PD times tax rate. Mistake number 1 that many students do. Who wanafanya 1 minus t. Kindly don't be like them. It is the debt times tax rate, not after tax. So it is not debt 1 minus t. It is debt times the t. Tax on debt. So our unlevered farm is 298.67. What is the value of debt? Is it 10 million times 0.3? Kindly, it is not times 0.7. It is tax on debt times 0.3. Tax on debt. 30% of debt. It is not after tax. It is 30% of debt. That gives us 301.67. So 301.67. Then wanatuuliza nini next? The weighted average cost of capital at 7% debt level of shillings 10 million. So we know that WSC of the levered farm equals what? Weight of equity, cost of equity, weight of debt, cost of debt. Debt must be adjusted for tax. Yeah. So, by all means, yes, the value of this farm is 301.67 when we introduce debt. And that value of 301.67 equal na debt na equal na equity. Kama debt ni 10 million, equity itakuwa ngapi? 291.67. I hope you are seeing where it's coming from. The value of the levered farm is the combination of equity and debt. Right? So that from here, will I be able to get the weight of equity? 291.67 divided by 301. Weight of debt 10 divided by 301. To make approach to ile design yetu hapa. It's the same thing. The value of the levered farm is the combination of equity and debt. So we have the debt. Can we get equity? The difference. So, hope that is okay. Kunyorosha unasema. Hi. We have KD. Was it 7%? Usiadjust for tax. Usiadjust hapo for tax, adjust baadaye. Kwa sababu ya kutafuta the risk premium. Now, tuko na weight of equity, this divided by this. Tuko na weight of debt, this divide by this. Tuko na KD 7%. Tuko na tax. Kazi imebaki ni nini? KE. So can we get the KE of the levered farm? Nakumbuka formula kama ni kusoma. Equals to KU plus kwa mjaja anasema risk. Thank you very much. And how do you get the risk premium? KU minus KD, debt over equity adjusted for what? For tax. Do we have the KU? KU ni ngapi? KU ni 12. Tumia tu bila iko 12. Our final answer will be a percentage. Plus 12 minus 7. KD is 7. What is the value of debt? 10 million. What is the value of equity? 291 points. Then you adjust forward. Can I do times 0.7? So adjusting for tax is 1 minus tax. The mistake that people do, adjusting for tax, inafaa iguze hii. Kuna wale wenye wanafanyanga hii hesabu yote kama moja. So get the wrong answer. Because hii ya mbele si yote ndio risk premium. So pata risk premium yote ndio uongeze 12. Points. 12.12. Coincidentally. So can you get the worker? By the way. They wanted us to get the worker, and what the cost of it is. So wakaka equals to so the WSCC weight of equity is how much? 291.67 divided by 301.67 KE ni ngapi? 12.12. Plus, what is the weight of debt? 10 divided by what? 301.67 KD ni ngapi? 7, lazima tu adjust for what? For tax. What is our 11.88. 11.88. Huh? What's up? So when you look at MM2, is that good? Do you recommend having debt financing? Why? Does it make you more richer by increasing your value? Before debt, the value of how much? I think to 98.67. Usirudi kwa MM1 kwa MM2. Before that, was it 298.67? The value of the unlevered farm here. When you brought in debt, the value iliongezeka mpaka 301.67. So debt has increased the value. We are happy. We are becoming more rich. What about the WSC before debt? The WS was happy. The 12%. And after that, it has reduced to what? Hata kama ni kadogo imepunguka. So that is the conclusion that we shall make. But I want to give you some 5 minutes. Mona neighbor a bit. But even as I give you 5 minutes, try to look at that question. Then you can hii hata utaangalia baadaye. Angalia page 66, question 4B of May 2018. May 2018, question 4B. Page 66. May 2018 for all. Now, Lagdara Limited, an unlevered farm, operates in the textile industry, no problem. So the farm is unlevered, it's all equity financed. The farm's current capital structure is summarized as follows. On an ordinary share capital, the par value is 50. Share premium, retained earnings, we have the total shareholders funds of 340 million. The firm is considering borrowing 10% debt finance for 40 million in order to finance an expansion program, making it a levered farm. So inataka to bring in debt. Annual EBIT generated by the firm are 60 million. Is expected to remain constant each year in perpetuity. So dividends and earnings do not grow. Tabaki constant. The firm's ordinary shares are currently trading at a market price per share of 200 shillings at the Securities Exchange. The corporate tax rate applicable is 30%. Ukiona tax rate, you think about what? MM2. Si kawaida kwa kila wakati examiner atakwambia using MM2. Anasema tu using MM. Wewe mwenyewe ukijazie. As long as una corporation tax, think of MM2. Using MM approach and the information provided above. Unavila message hiyo swali. Ajasema using MM2. Mesema using MM approach and the information provided, analyze the financial implications of the change in the capital structure of Lagdara Limited. So how will the change in the capital structure affect the value and the WSCC of the firm? How will the value and the WSCC? How will the value and the WSCC? How will the change in the capital structure affect the value and the WSCC of the firm? And as you are being asked, analyze the financial implications. So to analyze the financial implication is a matter of comparison. Compare before and after. So to answer na before debts. So before, debt was of how much? Before 10%. shillings 40 million debt. So before 10% shillings 40 million of debt. So therefore, the firm is what? Levered or unlevered? The firm is unlevered. Yeah. What is the value of unlevered firm? Sasa tushainia haraka haraka tusonge mbele. Equals to value of equity. Thank you. Which equals to EBIT. EBIT. Sauti lazima kumbuka. Kwa mtu lazima tu adjust for tax. Then we divide by 10. Kwa nikasema iko huko. Haya. So lazima zingie. EBIT is how much? EBIT is 60 million, right? Tax rate is 30%. Lakini hapo ndo kuna balaa. Usipoiona swali iko na error. If I'm your student, so when the question is not making sense, convince yourself that it has an error that right sum. You might be correct. But later, you and me knows that we can also get the value of equity by taking the number of shares. Times the market price per share. Na hiyo market ikataka kuona. How many shares does the company have? How many shares does the company have? 120 divided by 120 million divided by 50. And on the market, each share selling at how much? 200. So what is the value of equity? $280. 480. For 80 million. Right? So therefore, value of equity for now. So value of unlevered farm equals to value of equity of unlevered, which equals to that. Can we have the WSC? WS of unlevered farm equals to which scale, which equals to for 80 the value, such for WSC. Shine where you can. Pay for board, by the way. EBIT. You adjust for tax, thank you. Harambee, so not tunafanya divide by kila takuuliza. Unajua ni harambee. Divide by the value of equity. Do you have everything now? How much is our EBIT? Our EBIT is 60. Tax ni ngapi? 30%. Na value ya equity tumepata ni 480. So 60 times 0.7 over 480. So before that, the value is 480 and the WSC is 8.75. Then we compare that with after 10% shillings 40 million of what? Okay, now the farm becomes what? The farm becomes different. So when we bring in debt, can we have the value of the delivered farm equals to value of unlevered plus value of debt times the tax rate. Thank you. Unlevered value yake ni ngapi? 480. Debt ni ngapi? Debt ni ngapi neighbor? 40 million times 0.3. 480 plus 12. 492. 492. Yeah. Great. So we have, after that, we have the value. Then now we need to go to the WSC. We know that the value of the delivered farm is the component of equity and debt. Yeah. So this 492 equals to equity plus debt of 40. What is the value of equity? 492 minus what? It is 450. It is 452 million. Hi. So can I have, do I have the KD of the 10%? It is selling at percent. So KD is 10%. So I have the value of equity, I have the value of debt. Can I have the cost of equity of the delivered farm? Equals to ndio tukiangalia mara moja alafu niangalie ukisema inapotea. Haya, sema basi. Sasa ni premium risk. Haya. EU plus premium risk ni low, ni risk premium. EU plus. Sasa risk premium formula yake nayo bila kuangalia ama nikute kwanza. EU minus KD. D over equity. 1 minus tax. Do we have the K? K was ngapi? 8.75 plus 8.75 due to minus 10. Value of debt is how much? Which point? And equity is how much? 452 adjusted for tax. We have 8.67. So can we have our work? YK plus WDKD adjusted for what? Adjusted for that. The weight of equity 452 divided by 490, 492. Pay in 8.67. The weight of debt 40 divided by 492. Ndio. Alafu cost of debt ni ngapi? 10. Adjusted for tax. Eight point 8.5. So I believe by looking at that, we can again appreciate all of us who are debt is good. Before debt, the farm was valued at how much? 480. When we brought in debt, the farm was valued at 492. Before debt, the cost of capital was 8.75. When we bring in debt, the cost becomes 8.53. But then the maswali should understand the flow. Because if you bring in debt, the value of unlevered farm should always be lower than the value of the levered. Yeah. And the WSC of unlevered farm should be higher than the WSC of the levered. Can we make a conclusion? The conclusion. Debt financing increases the value. Debt financing increases the value and reduces the WSCC of the farm. Debt financing increases the value and reduces the WSCC of the farm. Hence, according to MM2, capital structure financing decisions are relevant. According to MM2, capital structure financing decisions are relevant. So what we mean is that the decisions that you make, whether to bring in debt or not, are going to be material. They are relevant. They'll have an impact on the value, and they'll have an impact on the WSCC of the farm. You check for me. I'm leaving you 2 questions today, knowing that you have weekend. Ni kama siku nyingine hamunanga. So there is a question 4B. There is question 4B of May 2019, page 53. Page 54, actually, not 53. Page 54. copy May 2019. There's another one in November 2015. November 2015, question 3. That is page 93. Page 93, November 2015, question 3. Unit 20 marks yote. So try them out.